Alright, I'm going to be showing you guys how to take apart the transmission. So these are the special tools you're going to need. This one I ordered off of Amazon. This is another special part. It's not that special. You can make it yourself if you have some square steel tubing and a drill and maybe a welder. If you don't have a welder, it's fine. You don't need it. It just makes it easier. I'll show you the dimensions for this right here. And then after you've made those holes, then you just put that bolt through onto your welded nut. If it's not welded, it's fine. You'll just have it loose. And that's it. There is already another very detailed video out there. It's this one right here. He goes into a lot of detail. I'm just showing you how to do it a little more fast-paced. If you miss out on something that I'm doing and you don't see me put that detail into it, then just go into these videos and he'll be able to show you exactly what part it is that you missed. He goes into a lot more detail than I do, but he also takes a lot more time, so if you're more in a hurry, then this is the video for you. I would say that the transmission teardown is separated into two parts: the belly of it, which is where the valve body is, and everything that comes out here. So this is where the clutch packs, the oil pump, and everything else is. Alright, so I'm going to show you real quick my little setup here. It's pretty simple. It's just a big flat table, and then I have a transmission mount that I ordered off of Amazon. It's also pretty simple. I don't know if you'll be able to use it unless you have the right table, because I did have to screw it down. I had to screw it down onto the metal right there, so it's not like it's just holding onto wood. It's holding onto the outside steel frame. And this is the other side. I have my torque converter right there. I have a box separated just for all of my small parts. So I have little sandwich bags here, and I've written the name of the item that I put in there. And this is the type of transmission fluid we're going to be using for this project. Valvoline, Mercon V. Make sure it's Mercon V. It has to be Mercon V. It can't be anything else. So the rubber O-ring for the oil filter might get stuck in there. You just have to take that out. So I've removed the O-ring from the valve body and put it back onto the filter. We're not going to need it anymore. But as we're taking everything apart, we want to try to make sure that we keep everything as organized as possible. It's going to make things a lot easier, and it's going to help us, stay organized in our mind also. And down. You can just pry it up from the bottom, push it up, pull it out, and this filter right here, put it to the side. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna grab it like this, put some pressure on it, twist, and pull. After removing that pin, we're gonna remove that 13/16 nut, and we're gonna do that by placing this screwdriver behind that park rod and prying it against this shaft right here, and then we're gonna get that 13/16 millimeter nut and pry it against it, or pry it back to loosen it up. Now that this is removed, you can pull the whole part off from the park rod back there. Just slides right off. Get this and set it aside with all your other parts. That nut that fell in earlier, place it over here. You're going to use a screwdriver. You're going to carefully pry against it to pull it back and out. Once it's out, you just gently pull it back, set it aside with all the stuff that's gonna remain in a Ziploc bag. After removing that assembly, now we're gonna remove this 2 to 3 accumulator. We just remove that cap, remove that spring, and this part just pulls up. Set that right there. That's all for the 2 to 3 accumulator. For this next part, we're going to be removing the 1 to 2 accumulator, the overdrive servo piston, and the reverse piston. We're going to need this special tool that I showed you earlier. And there we go. Remove the snap ring, the cap, the spring. And for this, you just grab on, pull it up and out of there, set it to the side, and you got, depending on your model transmission, you might have 1 or 2 springs in this one. Move the snap ring, set that aside. Okay.
So this is the first part of your transmission. After the rear cover, the oil pan, the valve body, and everything inside of it has been removed. This is what it should look like. Now we can turn the transmission up. And start removing everything from the top down. Next, we're going to be using these bolts right here to grab onto the oil pump, but not the case. One on each side. And we're just going to grab the oil pump and put it over here. Next, remove the gasket if it didn't remove already. After removing the oil pump, we're going to use a pick to remove this noise dampener clip right here. We're going to pry under it and pull it up gently. And then just set that aside. Make sure you don't lose it. Put it in a plastic bag if you need to. Next, we're going to be moving the second gear clutch pack. We're going to be using that same pick. And this is your one thick steel plate right here. It only goes in one way. You can't set it a certain way, so it only goes in one way. Next thing to remove is this overdrive band right here. This is what the overdrive piston on the valve body side pushes against to engage. This is the overdrive band. Just want to sit this over here to the side. Next, we're going to be grabbing the forward drive shaft. We're going to be pulling it and removing the forward drive along with the reverse drive, or along with the reverse pack, along with this. Next to the clutch pack. Next, we'll remove the forward clutch hub, which has a thrust bearing on top. And then on the other side, there's another one that goes like this with this protruding edge down. Next, we're going to remove the intermediate shaft and the drive shell. We're going to set these two over here on this side. Next, we're going to pull out the sun gear, which has a bearing. Put that to the side. We're also going to remove this snap ring. This sun gear along with the snap ring are going to go over here. I'm going to use the mechanics pick, and I'm going to pull out this spring right here. That's called a K silencer. You're going to try to grab it from under and pull it up, and get ready because it might spring up. Okay, and that's it. And it's this. Next, I'm going to remove the support and the planetary assembly by putting my fingers under, wearing gloves, put my fingers under and pulling up while turning and carefully bringing it up. It's a little heavy, like so, to the forward reverse drum right there. Next, we're going to remove the reverse band. Just grab it, lift it up. This is what it looks like down here with the overdrive band. Next, we have a ring, snap ring, that you can pull out by hand. It's not too tight on there. It just acts as a shelf. You just pull it up. The other ring. Next, we're going to be removing the direct drive hub. This is also your third gear. And grab that, pull it up. Now, notice I'm leaving some room here because I need as much room as I can get for when I'm disassembling all these parts. Right here, we have another thrust bearing. We're gonna remove that one and put this one with the direct drive drum. It goes under, so I'm gonna put it under. Lastly, we have the output shaft with the ring gear that you're just gonna grab and pull out. Careful not to let it slip because it is a little heavy. And if it didn't come out with it, there's another thrust bearing right here that goes right there. If it's still on there, then that's fine. If not, it's gonna be down here. This is your last thrust bearing. You're gonna set it back into the output drive shaft, and we're gonna set this last part over here beside the valve body. We have finished tearing down the transmission. This is what it should look like inside. The only thing left are these 3 pins right here. Nothing else should be left. After taking everything out of the transmission, this is what our parts should look like. They don't have to be in this specific order, but these are all the parts that you should have out. Next, we'll be going over the specific parts that need to get inspected and broken down into further detail. This is the time to inspect the inside of the transmission so you can find out if there's any parts that are broken beyond repair. That way you don't waste your time. Things to check are this area right here. You want to make sure that it's nice and smooth, that it's not worn out or scraped. You want to check for any cracks in the case. Everything looks fine here. So if the case looks good, now we can go ahead and start working on the transmission by breaking down the parts piece by piece. This has to get broken down. This a little bit, but not too much. This has to get broken down. This has to get broken down a little. And this has to get broken down. And this has to get broken down. Thank you everybody for taking your time to watch my video. Hopefully I was able to help someone out there. Stay tuned, subscribe if you want, so that you can get a notification on the next video coming up, which is the disassembly and reassembly of the rest of the transmission's parts, and maybe even the reinstallation of all the parts back into the transmission. And if you're enjoying this music and this video, stay tuned, because I might upload a short video of me going down to the stop sign to clear up some obstructions on the road.
I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.